So what does a 4-H mom do on the middle of her day close to fair? They drive their minivan, 2 hours away to meet with a breeder in a Starbucks parking lot so they can go pick up all of the animals that their kids and their club's kids are going to be showing at fair in a little over than a month. You need to be cognizant on the best way to grow the rabbits so that they can have success at fair. Well, I'm Allison Curletto. I am the 4-H leader for La Miranda 4-H in Contra Costa County. I have 3 kids in 4-H right now. Today, my kids are in school, and this is, a timing issue. We have to go and pick up the meat pens at a particular day in order for them to be at fair. And so I am here picking up meat pens, not just for my kids, but for the whole club. The whole club actually has about 100 kids, and I've got about maybe 9 or 10 that are in the Advanced Rabbits Project, which is the one that works on meat pens. So we're part of the Contra Costa County Fair, and that's in the middle of May. Our fair date is actually, I think, the 17th. Friday the 17th is our show date. Well, from the breeder, we like to pick up our meat pens about, we want them to be about 4 weeks minimum. But we try and get them as quickly as we can, between 4 and 6 weeks. I think as far as feeding schedules, it's probably good to have them, you don't want to get them too early because then their digestive tracts are a little bit, can be young. But as long as you're giving them lots of hay, I think it's good to have them on your own feeding schedule as long as possible. And you can supplement if you need to have them gain weight. We have a couple of things that we like to do in order to help ones that aren't growing as quickly as the others so that they're all as uniform as possible. So our breeder, we're going home with 7 pens today. We have 7 kids participating, and I'm having the kids meet me tonight or at our club meeting tomorrow night. We are going to weigh all of our rabbits, and we have an Excel spreadsheet that we put down. We mark them in their ear, what number they are, and we keep that in a Sharpie pen. And we weigh them each week, kind of track and group the ones that are about the same weight. Ones that seem like they might be getting shoved out of the way and not getting enough feed, we put them in a separate pen where they can get more access to the feed. And we try and get everybody to be about the same weight as close as possible, so that it's easier for us to judge and put them into equal pens. Well, when we get home, in order to minimize stress, we are going to try and keep them together so that they have some other bunnies to comfort each other. And then we're going to give them lots of hay. And then we're going to introduce them into our feed. So we like to use a lot of grass hay, make sure they have access to a lot of, water too, fresh water, and lots of grass hay so that their little guts that are growing can develop in a healthy way, less stress to them, less chance of GI problems and toxicity. The meat pen rabbits are a little bit different than the other rabbits that we raise. They're not going to be our show bunnies or our showmanship bunnies that need to have the same socialization. So we do take them out and handle them, but we're not going to be taking them out for long periods of time or putting them in the little red wagons and pulling them all across the way or dressing them up like maybe some of the kids do with their other rabbits. So these ones are going to try and be in an environment that's less stressful so that they can grow a little bit better. So when we get home, we'll have 7 pens, 21 rabbits that are going to be, a total of 7 pens, and we're going to keep them together in groups of 3 and sort of let them develop and hopefully not move them around too much, because even introducing the other rabbits might have a little bit of an effect, but we'll keep them together in pens so that they can develop in a stress-free environment. So another advantage for us getting all of our rabbits from the same breeder is that we're able to, the rabbits kind of know the smell, they smell like each other. Again, that's going to be less stressful on the animals, and it also cuts down on the possibility of them bringing like cross contaminants over and kind of interfering with their more on their health system. So if one of our rabbits does happen to get any kind of stress and develops diarrhea, we take them off the pellets and give them a whole bunch of hay, and again, try and keep them in an unstressful situation. Make sure they have 100% fresh, clean water, and sometimes I'll give them a little bit of oats, but because that tends to congeal their waste a little bit. We house our rabbits in a cool place that's got good ventilation, because ventilation is really important for their development, especially their lungs. You don't want to get the ammonia or, so good ventilation. And even though these are babies, they don't require heat of any kind. You want to keep them in a cool place, because heat is actually pretty dangerous to rabbits and can interfere with how they develop and their health in general. So we have like a shade, like a broadcloth kind of a thing that will cast a shade on top of the rabbit barn that we have, and we have lattice work on all sides so that the air is not constricted and it can move freely. There's a lot that goes into these rabbits, and the kids, even though it's a short time that they're raising these rabbits, a lot of care goes into it, because they are dependent on success and they do want to be recognized at fair. It's an intense time for these, the growing time. It's only a 2-month period that we get to have these rabbits, sometimes less than that, between a month and 2 months. And our kids really need to be paying attention. We need to be cognizant on the best way to grow the rabbits so that they can have success at fair. Some fairs, up until last year, our fair didn't even recognize any meat pen other than the Supreme Grand Champion. So it's nice that they're able to get all the information they can so that they can have as much success as possible with their rabbits. My kids have learned a lot about fair, or about rabbits, and about auctions at fair. They've experimented a couple of times and used different rabbits that I didn't really suggest, but they did it anyway, and they learned that some rabbits, breeds, don't grow as quickly as others. But more importantly, they learn a lot of life skills about how to approach potential buyers, how to write down and acknowledge the work that they're doing, because a lot of times they don't even realize the amount of effort that they're putting down until they can write their buyer's letter and they show what they know, a lot of knowledge that they get about what types of feed will help grow and what types of feed will be detrimental to their organs. They know that they use grass hay instead of alfalfa. They know that there is certain kinds of nutrients that will help them with fur development. And they know how to look adults in the eyes and shake people's hands in order to approach a potential buyer and explain the benefits of one type of meat over another, and the quality of the care and how that influences that quality of the meat as well. It's unusual. I mean, it's hard to convince buyers about rabbit meat, because we're not in France. We don't have the same type of meats in our markets as they do in Europe and a lot of other countries. So my kids have actually learned how sustainable rabbits can be, how much time and how much space is required, and how much fat is in the rabbit meat, and the amount of water that's used in comparison to other meats. So it's really interesting. We've developed an educational poster that we bring to a lot of our our educational opportunities, and we share these facts that the kids have learned about how sustainable rabbits are, and actually how good it is for us as humans as a meat source. But we're in the Bay Area, and in the Bay Area it's kind of an urban environment. People are not used to buying at the auction. They're not used to seeing the source of their food, so they're used to going into the Safeways or the supermarkets, and so we get a lot of shock and questions as to why we have the heart to to actually eat the animals that we're producing and raising. But the counter to that, and what the kids have been learning, is that this is actually a way more humane way of treating animals than it is in those large environments where you're just getting tons of cows or tons of chickens in an area, that buying from a 4-H'er actually is going to give you the best quality of meat, because it's all organic, and it's the kids and the animals actually have the best quality of life around. I mean, if we're going to be eating meat, we might as well be being the most responsible we can with the animals that we have.